Welcome back to the Heavy Spoiler Show. I'm your host, Jared, aka the man with the chainsaw and boomstick. And in this video, we're going to be going over the ending of Evil Dead Rise. I'm just warning you, bring an extra pair of pants. But in this breakdown, we're going to be going over the plot, themes, post-credit teases, other Evil Dead staples, along with our thoughts of the movie. Be prepared because Heavy Spoilers is reading straight from the Book of the Dead, so if you haven't had a chance to check it out, then I highly recommend you close the book now. But please do hit that like button and make sure to subscribe for breakdowns like this every day. With that out of the way, thank you so much for clicking this. Again, I am Jared. Now rise.
Eeny, meeny, miny. You.
Alright, so Evil Dead Rise actually starts with a pretty sick cold open of a group of friends on a secluded camping trip, very reminiscent of the other Evil Dead cabin settings, as the camera quickly zooms through the forest like the spirit of a deadite, but it's actually a remote-controlled drone. We soon realize that one of the girls on this camping adventure is acting erratic and is already possessed by a deadite, ripping the scalp from her cousin and drowning her boyfriend in a cloud of red, murky lake water. She then elevates out of the water with a big-ass letters of Evil Dead Rise coming out of the horizon as the title card. Hell of an opening, then boom, bam, 1 day earlier, text pops on screen. So yeah, these camping teens aren't even who we're focusing on, as we're then introduced to one of our main characters, Beth, living the life of a grungy metal band guitar technician, or I guess groupie, finding out that she is pregnant. This shocking revelation sends Beth to her sisters, Ellie, living in a condemned apartment building in Los Angeles. Her 3 children, and a couple others are living on the top floor of this joint, which is set to be demolished in a month. Beth and Ellie have a bit of a strained relationship. You can tell that they've had to kind of raise themselves because their mother wasn't the best, because surprise, surprise, there's an underlying theme of motherhood flowing through this movie. Expecting mothers, established mothers, and I guess abandoned mothers. Again, this is an uneasy relationship. Ellie sends the kids out to grab some za as her and Beth catch up, with Beth learning that Ellie and her husband split, and she wasn't there to help Ellie through this tough time. A sisterly bond theme also is kind of thrown in here. But as the kids are coming back with the pizza from a place called Henrietta's Pizza, a nice callback to Evil Dead 2, I think, there's an earthquake that structurally breaks some of the foundation in the parking garage below the building. Danny, Ellie's son, finds a small hole has been created, leading into an abandoned bank vault below the building. In here, he finds some vintage vinyl records, and, unbeknownst to him, the Book of the Dead. Director Cronin mentioned that this book is actually different from the original book and the one that was in the 2013 reboot, claiming that he likes to think that this third book was the one that was featured in Army of Darkness when Ash finds the 3. Anyway, Danny takes this all up to their apartment, and like any dumb teen, opens the book after accidentally dripping blood on it and playing the vinyl records. There are 3 in total, with the first featuring Priest finding the book and arguing if it is safe or not. With the second record is where things get a little dicey. Essentially, a demon voice begins to read from the book, causing a deadite to find its way into the apartment building, possessing their mother Ellie in the elevator. Now, the elevator sequence looks very similar to the tree root sequence from the older Evil Dead movies, with wires twisting her body, urban environment, creativity working here, people, as Ellie is now possessed. While Ellie is being, a little sus, some of the other neighbors on the floor are established here, all worried because Ellie's elevator ride Tower of Terror incident blew out the power to the building. Now, it's basically your Evil Dead trapped in a cabin, but trapped in an apartment series of events, with Ellie attacking everyone. They lock her outside of the apartment, where she terrorizes all of the neighbors in a really kick-ass hallway peephole sequence. However, bad news, Bridget, Ellie's oldest daughter, got some blood in her via a tattoo gun and is now possessed. This is where things turn into a demented version of Adventures in Babysitting as Bridget tries attacking them, but Cassie, the youngest, jams a mop handle through her mouth and head. Yeah, she had taped a doll head to a mop, calling her, wait for it, Stephanie. Pun game is unmatched from this little one. Ellie trapped in the hallway. Bridget is dunzos for now, so Danny finally comes clean about the book and the records, so Beth steps up into the motherly role and has a listen to record 3. While listening, she realizes that the priests had tried everything and total body dismemberment was the only solution. Perfect. They know what to do, but Ellie had snuck through the vent, now in the apartment, teaming up with Bridget, who is now back up walking around. Danny sacrifices himself to save the youngest Cassie as Beth and Cassie make a break for the elevator, grabbing the neighbor's shotgun in the process, shooting one of Ellie's arms and legs. Hashtag family is in full effect. Dominic Toretto would be proud as the possessed Ellie, Bridget, and Danny morph into what I can only describe as the Rat King from The Last of Us. Truly horrifying John Carpenter type. The Deadites cause the broken elevator to fill with blood, drowning Beth and Cassie as it hits the maximum weight limit and crashes down to the parking garage, harder and messier than the Kool-Aid man bursting into your living room. The pair try to leave via car, but the monstrosity halts the car. They try running to the open gate, only for Cassie to be captured at the very last second. Beth, now in full-on protective mother mode, goes back in, shooting that beach with the shotgun, and picks up a yellow-beige chainsaw embodying the essence of ash. Beth revs that puppy up, just tearing through the mutated Ellie and kids, forcing them into a wood chipper, painting, I'm telling you, just smearing that whole parking garage red. I mean, this is some up shit. But boom, the Deadites are gone as Cassie and Beth head off to hopefully brighter futures, with Beth now being prepared for parenthood and sort of being the Ash of this hopefully new series of movies. But you remember the group of friends from the opening? Yep, the final minute or so shows one of the women living in the same apartment building, different floor, seeing the carnage of the parking garage. She's attacked by a rogue Deadite and then heads off to the camping trip that we see in the beginning of this movie. So we can only assume that someone somewhere is still possessed, and where they wander, well, your guess is as good as mine. But I will say, this makes me not want to ever watch someone's children. Now, if you're wondering if Evil Dead Rise sets up a whole big Evil Dead universe, hashtag EDU, well, no, that there's no post-credit scene, so it's okay to pick up your trash and get out of that theater. But there is a brief sound effect of a fly buzzing around at the very, very, very end of the credits, similar to that of Iron Man's hammer at the end of Endgame. Now, this isn't necessarily a setup, but more of a tease of a potential what-if. And with the way that the film was structured, combined with the fact that this is a really bang-up horror movie, I'm sure positive reviews and box office numbers will be the main indicator of whether or not we see more of these Deadites and helpless people in the woods or condemned apartment buildings. My money right now is on more, so fingers crossed. Of course, another thing hardcore Evil Dead fans are probably curious about is if Bruce Campbell, aka Ash Williams, with his kick-ass chainsaw, boomstick, and groovy catchphrase make an appearance. And the answer is no. Sorry, Charlie. Bruce doesn't bring the Campbell in this one.
Boo this man!
However, if you are listening closely, his voice does make a cameo as one of the priests on the vinyl records that are played when Danny discovers the Book of the Dead. I think one of the trailers actually has a little bit of audio. I'll put it here if that's the case.
The Book of the Dead.
If not, my bad. I'm sure people are wanting more Ash, but Campbell says that he has unofficially retired from the character after the cancellation of Ash vs. the Dead series. But there's a small smidgen of hope because a couple weeks ago, director Lee Cronin mentioned in an interview that Campbell's priest character was one that could very well be Ash Williams, just displaced in time from the events of Army of Darkness. So grab your chainsaw because things could get
groovy.
Honestly, I am not the biggest fan of horror movies. Maybe I'm slowly getting there, but holy hell was Evil Dead Rise a claustrophobic, tense, bloody ride of a horror movie. I really enjoyed the different setting, and the reasons for why there are only a couple people here or there seems plausible, like it all makes sense in this urban setting. But man, this was like a gruesome version, like I said before, Adventures in Babysitting. Sure, the scares are there with the camera movements adding to the creep factor, but I appreciated the twisted comedic sequences just as much. And yeah, I said bloody. This is full on bloody. Director Cronin said that they used something like 6,500 liters of blood, so grab your swim trunks and flippy floppies for this one. I'm throwing a solid 8 out of 10 at this latest Evil Dead installment. It has a lot of things Evil Dead fans will grasp onto, but the way that this movie is, pun intended, bookended, the cold open is great and wonderfully sets up everything. While the ending is a full-on mashup of John Carpenter, David Cronenberg, and the Rat King from The Last of Us, ultimately it's a story about mothers and expecting mothers, and the metaphors are really reinforced here. The only small negatives I have are some of the delivery from some of the teens and children, and anyone looking for any in-your-face connective tissue to other moments in the Evil Dead franchise, like Ash, for example. I mean, the chainsaw's there, but he's not, are going to be left out in the cold. Anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts on Evil Dead Rise. Was this one of the scariest, most gruesome movies you've seen in 2023? And what would you like to see in this updated landscape of the Evil Dead franchise? And I'll let you know, we're currently running a competition giving away 3 copies of the Ant-Man Quantumania movie on the 15th of May, and all you gotta do to get a chance of winning this is like this video, make sure to subscribe, and drop a comment down below with your thoughts of Evil Dead Rise. We pick the comments at random at the end of every single month, and the winners of last month are on screen right now. So that's you. Message us on Twitter at Heavy Spoilers. If you want something else to watch, be sure to check out some of our other cool videos. Sneak peek, we have The Exorcist coming soon. Stay tuned for that. But with all of that out of the way, thank you so much for your constant support. I've been Jared. I'll see you in the next one. Take care and peace.